Two people open up exactly the same AI tool. They ask exactly the same topic. One gets a vague, generic wall of text that they can't use, while other gets a sharp, well-structured answer, which is exactly what they needed. So same AI tool, same model, but what's the difference? Hello dosto, welcome to Developer Forum. My name is Mayank Rai. So the difference is the prompt, the way you ask. That skill has a name which is known as prompt engineering. And here's the truth, it's not about a secret magic word, it's about clearly communicating with the model. In this video, I'll give you simple formula and handful of techniques that will help you instantly upgrade the answers which you usually get from any AI tool. So let's quickly dive into our computer screen. Right now we are onto our computer screen for the today's topic, which is prompt engineering masterclass. So let's quickly start on it. So we already discussed in the very beginning that same tool could produce different answers as well. One could be vague answer and one could be clear answer. That totally depends on the type of the prompt which you are providing. Take an example where you are providing a simple vague prompt which is just saying basically explain recursion. Another example is of a clear prompt which is saying explain recursion to a beginner in 3 bullets with one Python example. So the first prompt, which is the vague prompt, will give you a simple generic text basically on the screen which you yourself have to untangle, and by doing this it will take a lot of time and it is not a proper use of the tool basically. But the second, where you have provided few of the extra informations to the prompt, it gives you exactly what you needed and a ready to use answer. Remember, the only thing which changed over here is the way you asked basically. Let's clear up the biggest misconception first. Prompt engineering is not a bag of tricks or special phrases that unlock the hidden power. There are no cheat codes basically. Remember from the last video, an LLM continues from the text you give it. So the quality of what you get out depends heavily basically on the quality of what you put in. That's the whole thing. Prompt engineering is simply the skill of giving the model the clear communication, the complete instruction basically, so it can do all the work which you actually want. Think of it like briefing a very fast, very capable new intern who has no idea of what's in your head basically. If you say to that person that write something about databases, you will get something very generic, right? Because you left everything to their imagination. But if you tell them the goal, the audience, the format, and the length, you will get something useful. The model is exactly the same basically. So the good news is this is learnable, practical skill. You don't need to be technical, you just need a structure, and that's what we will build now. Here's a simple formula which I created for you guys, which you can reuse for almost anything. There are 4 parts to any great prompt anatomy. First is role, second is task, third is context, and fourth is format. Let me walk through each basically. Role, you are telling the model who it should be. For example, you are telling it like you are a patient coding tutor or you are an experienced technical writer. This will set up the tone and the expertise level of the answer, and the model will now provide you answer based on that role. Think of it like you have hired somebody for your company's particular position as a manager or as a technical person. So that particular person will only do the work as per the role assigned to that person. Similarly, the model will now act as per the role only. Now, next is task. Say clearly what you want it to do basically. For example, don't just say help with recursion. Instead, say explain how recursion works. And this is a more curated task. Next is context. You have to give model the background of your answer. Basically, who's this for? What do they already know? You can say like The reader is a beginner who knows basic Python but has never seen recursion. And the next is format, in which you describe the shape of the answer you want. For example, you can say the model to generate the answer in 3 short bullet points with one simple coding example and no jargon. Put these four together and you get something like, you are a patient coding tutor, explain how recursion works to a beginner who knows basic simple Python and in 3 short bullet points with one simple code example. Now this single prompt which I just told you guys can outperform a one-liner sentence which says explain recursion every single time basically. So role, task, context and format, keep that in your head and you are already ahead of most of the people who are using these tools. Now I have created a 3 principle framework as well for you guys to understand it better. Let's start with the principle number 1. Give it a role and context which we already described earlier. You need to tell the model who it should be and who the answer is for. Basically, why this is happening is you are setting up the tone with the model, the depth of the answer and the expertise level you want. For example, a researcher won't just need a basic information or a niche level information, but a school level person, school level student basically just want a basic information. That's the distinction between the two, right? Now that is something which stops the model from guessing the answer. Instead, it provides you the answer based on the more context and the role. And do not forget to treat it like just an intern, wherein you have to tell the model the goal, audience, and useful work, and it won't give you a generic answer anymore. Principle number 2, be specific and set constraints. The number one reason people get bad answers is that they are too vague basically. The model has to guess about it. So let's talk about being specific basically, because specificity is where most of the improvement comes from. Every detail you leave out, the model has to guess, and when it guesses, it defaults to the most average or generic version basically. So you need to spell the things out, right? How long should it be? A sentence, a paragraph, or a full page answer? Who's the audience? A 5-year-old, a beginner, a senior engineer, a researcher? What should be the tone of your answer? Formal, casual, or encouraging, kind of that. So constraints are your friend over here. Telling the model what not to do is equally important and powerful as telling it what to do. For example, keep it under 100 words, don't use jargon, or only use the plain JavaScript, no libraries. Constraints basically narrow the model down to the answer you actually want. A quick mental test before you hit the send button. If you handed the same prompt to a stranger, would they know exactly what to produce? And if there's a room for them to guess wrong, then add the missing detail. I hope you got what I'm trying to say here. Next principle is show an example. Here's a technique that feels almost like a cheat, but it's completely legitimate. If you want the output in a particular style or shape, show the model an example of it. This is sometimes called few shot prompting. You give a few shots, basically a few samples of what good looks like to you. Instead of describing the format in words, you are just demonstrating it. For instance, if you want product description in a specific style, don't just say write a catchy style basically. Instead, give model like here's an example and then attach your sample example. And then you can add like now write 3 more in that same style. And the model is brilliant of pattern matching. So a single clear example often does more than a paragraph of instructions basically. And this worked for structure too. Show it the exact same table layout you want, or the format of a commit message, or the shape of an email, and it will follow the pattern. Remember, when words aren't getting you there, just show the model what to do instead of telling it. So we already discussed a couple of powerful step-by-step techniques previously, wherein we discussed about assigning a persona or a role to the model, specifying the format, giving an example, setting up the constraints. But there are two more techniques that punch above their weight basically. First one is for anything reasoning or multiple steps, whether it's a maths problem, debugging, planning, ask the model to think step by step basically. A simple line like walk through your reasoning step by step before giving the final answer often leads to noticeably better, more careful results basically. It gives your model room to work through the problem instead of blurting out the first thing basically. Second, and maybe the most underused of all, is the iterate. Your first prompt rarely needs to be perfect because it's a conversation. If the answer is close but not right, don't start over from the scratch. Just tell it what to change. Like, make it shorter, that's too formal, make it friendlier, keep the second point, drop the rest. So now each turn will build upon the last one. Most people treat AI like a search box, one shot, take it or leave it. The people who get great results treat it like back and forth, refine it, and don't just restart basically. Let's flip it around and look at the traps because avoiding these will fix most bad prompts instantly. Mistake number one is being too vague. We have covered it, but it's the big one. For example, if you are giving model a sentence like make this better, this will give model nothing to work with, right? Instead, you need to say what better means to you basically. Mistake number two is cramming too much into a single prompt. If you ask a full application or a documentation and a marketing plan all at once, you will get a shallow version of each. And that's why, many people, I have seen them that they just want that a particular model should build an entire application, entire website from scratch in one single prompt. And that is quite not possible. If you understand the flow of that website, if you understand the flow of the entire application, you can divide it into the pieces, and that's what you usually have to do to avoid this mistake. So what you have to do is break the big jobs into smaller steps and then tackle them one at a time. Now there is one more mistake which is not in the slide, but I need to tell you guys, is not specifying a format. If you don't say how you want the answer shaped, you will get whatever the model defaults to, which is usually a long paragraph, right? And then you have to basically reorganize it by yourself. And the mistake number four is giving up after one try. The first answer is generally a starting point, not the final word. If you walk away disappointed without refining it, you are leaving the most of the value on the table. So fix these four and your results will jump immediately. So let's bring it all together. Prompt engineering isn't magic, it's clear communication. Use the formula, role, task, context, and format which I've shown to you. Be specific and set the constraints. Show an example when you want a certain style. Ask it to think step by step for anything complex, and iterate basically. Treat it as a conversation, not a single shot. Here's why this is worth practicing. Prompting is the one skill that makes every AI tool better, today's and tomorrow's basically. As a developer or a student, this is genuine leverage. You will learn faster, code faster, and produce better work than someone who types one lazy line and hopes. Basically, it's a small skill with an outsized payoff. Now try this. Take a prompt you would normally type and rewrite it using this formula, role, task, context, and format, and notice the difference. That single habit will change how you work with AI going forward. If this was useful, that's exactly what this channel is about. Clear, calm, practical explanations. Subscribe to follow the rest of the AI playlist. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next one. So thank you guys for watching this video, and if you found it really helpful for you, please subscribe to Developer Forum, and I'll see you guys in the next video where I will give you the best AI tools every student and developers must know.